for high ticket services. When most people think about Meta, they think about selling products or ebooks or things like that. They think about, like an upsell or something like that. But while that is true, and we can talk about all of that stuff, there's not a huge moat in those areas. There's not like a huge competitive advantage. And that's why I really like running meta ads for high ticket items for two reasons. Number one, most people do not run high ticket items services in through Meta just because they don't think it works. So it's a lot less competitive space. There are scenarios where it is more competitive, like we could talk about that. Um, but two, we have a good example of a client who is here. Obviously, you can't see too much about them, but roughly it's a $25,000 a month service. It's a 25,000 over 6 month service. It's about a $50,000 for the year service. They charge $5,000 a month. They also have an opportunity to charge $30,000 upfront, and that gets you like an extra month or whatever. Um, and it's a pretty unique service in comparison to many competitors. There are a few other competitors in the space, and while I won't talk about this specific client, I'm going to use an example of an industry that we can use to build out the strategy for actually making this work. So this is going to be a pretty long deep dive, but that's kind of the point, is to show that meta ads can work. They're really powerful, and for high ticket items, they can be even more powerful. And by the way, there's a lot of people selling high ticket as a service meta ads, and they're just all kind of like garbage. It's like copywriting as a service, or like, oh, I'm like going to be your coach. That is not this. This is an actual like legit company that's looking at this correctly and thinking like, can we have like a more professional approach to this? um, I'll give you an example of what that might look like. So you can just go on ChatGPT and take a look at the most expensive service types businesses. So CRM implementation is one of those things, right? So CRM, like a HubSpot or Salesforce implementation, usually costs like $400,000 or $500,000. NetSuite is up to $1 million. SAP and Oracle, those could be tens of millions of dollars. Workday implementation, it goes up to about 5 million. There's a ton of other things here. SOC 2, which is really what Vanta kind of built out. I think that's a $50,000 a year service. So there's a huge amount. I mean, and there's just more and more things here you can kind of see, right? But there's a lot of these service businesses that are like really, really, really expensive high ticket items. So all this is just one example. I'll give you just to kind of put that into perspective. Let's see, ERP migration. Has anyone here listening to this ever seen an ERP migration ad on Meta? Probably not. Could there be a scenario where like we could run that though? Yeah, probably. I mean, if there's no one doing those ads, then yeah, that sounds like an amazing opportunity to reach new audiences. Oh, and you also have the ability of reaching people who are making over a certain amount, who are certain ages. Um, never be surprised if impressions are all that matters. Meta is the place that you want to be. Especially as you look at like if you look at ERP migration for Google Ads, it's actually very competitive. Like right, like everyone knows that that's where you would run the B2B strategy. So this is a unique way of running these kind of ads. Now, so I just put in NetSuite. Let's also do like ERP migration. Just curious. So there are a few companies, um, but you'll even notice like new acquisition, new REP, Kibola. Like I've never heard of any of these companies. Um, and most of these are really terrible ads. Like I don't see a single person in the ad. This is the first type of ad you're going to see that would work. The problem is, I don't know how large of a market that is, but that this is so far, this is the best ad that I've seen for, or sorry, best landing page that I will see for this. So EFT Sure, doing solid. Of course, there's low impression count, so that might not actually be working too well, but you can kind of see that. So let's just go back again. We're gonna go to, um, so let's see. NetSuite. Let's do Workday. Workday is kind of a good example. Workday implementation. All right. So you see a couple of these companies now starting to pop up. But again, it's actually just two companies, DoseMe and then Rockcrest. That's the only one. Let's see if Workday has any ads for their products. Doesn't look like any of these are popping up. Okay, so this is great. So what we're going to do is talk about this stage. So right now we've done a little bit of research. We can talk a little bit more about pain points and things like that. But I want to go here and let's do Workday implementation. We're going to give me 5 pain points that different ICPs have for Workday implementation. All right, while that's coming up with stuff, let's go back here. So the cool thing with a high ticket sales, right, is that ROAS starts to almost make no sense. So if you look at like a standard of ROAS, you're talking about 3x ROAS. That's like what everyone hopes for. Oh, we get 3x ROAS. Like, oh, we run an e-commerce brand and we get 3x ROAS. Like, if you're selling something that's 50 to $100,000, your ROAS is like triple digits very easily, very quickly. So let's just talk about this campaign first. So again, $25,000 average ticket item. They do have a $30,000 option for an upfront fee. That really makes life a lot easier for us, anyways. And here's the client thought. So yellow is kind of like I just did red, yellow, and green, right? So red is like he's worried. Yellow is he's like on the fence, and green is he's starting to feel positive about the scenario. So first week, and I can kind of talk about this was very heavy on statics. This was on warm up for vids, heavy waiting, and then here's where he starts to hit the progress. Okay, so the first week we launched a ton of statics, and we were pretty much hoping that he was going to come out with videos, and he did. But like anything, you kind of want to you get the client, he wants to see movement fast, and so this was the fastest way to do this. The cool thing about statics is it hits you right away. So if you have a pain point, and we can go back to this for a second, um, messy employee data migration. Okay. So if you're a company and you understand and you run an ad that says like your employee data is messy and that could affect X, Y, and Z. So that's where you can kind of hit them with like an immediate static. Whereas having a video takes a little bit longer. But I will say with the service and high ticket items, it's much better to see a face over just like having a static for two reasons. Number one, again, we're always going to where the puck is not. So if everyone is running Google ads, I don't want to run Google ads because it's too competitive. If everyone is running, so okay, so now we're not running Google ads, we're running Meta ads. So okay, so if everyone is running statics because people don't want to show their face, cool, but I don't want to run statics. I want to run videos. Yeah, we can run statics too, but ultimately, showing your face is going to be a way to convert. If everyone is running ads to, I don't know, like you take a look here, right? It's like, oh, if everyone's running it for the messy employee data migration pitch, then maybe we do it for this. So you're just constantly trying to find where there is zero people. My entire thesis on running ads anywhere in any type is skate to where there almost is no competition, or if there is competition, it's so weak that you are not really competing with anyone else. And so this is a good example. Like if someone is a Workday implementation company, hit me up. We can run ads all day. Like it's going to be easy because there's just not a lot of competition. Okay, so now you can kind of see. So ad spent 874, and you see number of closed deals 0, number of qualified calls 7. Following week 9, then following week 3. So he starts to get like really worried. I don't actually remember the issue with this exactly. I think it was like we made some changes, some minor concerns with the persona type. But you can start to see like he's had almost 20. So he's had 19 calls. Um, of those, some amount are good, some amount are bad. I don't know exactly how many are good. Um, but the really qualified leads and the amount that are really like you're paying about $174 for a qualified call. Well, if you're selling a $5,000 service, like who gives a shit? But the problem is there's a waiting game and there's a sales cycle game. If this is a week sales cycle, then you're not really that worried. If it's a month or 2 or 3 months and you're spending $100 a day, you're pretty much in the red unless you have like, raised a lot of capital or whatnot. And that's another conversation we can have. Um, so anyways, this is really where you start to get into, once you've done the research and you've built the idea of what you want to sell, now we go into the ads themselves. And this is really where you can stand out. Okay. So you have a combination. So you can run statics, you can run videos, you can change the hooks, you can change the angles, you can change the call to action. Most people are going to run the same like 2 or 3 call to actions, which are like book a call below. If you're interested, uh, fill out this form and we'll call you. Or sometimes they'll hit you with like a low ticket, like a freebie, like oh, get this checklist to buy a blue collar business. Like Cody Sanchez does that a lot. Um, or you can hit them with like a different call to action, which is like follow my page. I don't recommend any of those. I would say majority of the people are going to be booking the call. You can also mention a pain point. So there's a couple clients that I've worked with that are really, really precise in the video. And so they'll say straight up, like, if we're doing Workday implementation, for example, hey, does your Workday implementation continue to take too long, go over budget, and you're worried that you're going to be fired or this or that? Like, so it's like a very immediate hook. That is the hook. So if you think about like hooks from a TikTok influencer page, it's like, here's 3 ways to lose weight. It's like, whatever. Like I'm nothing against that, but you need a more professional pain point solution. So you hit them with the pain points, then you hit them with the follow up on the body. So hey, are you struggling with your Workday implementation and you're worried that you're going to go over budget? Are you at all concerned about the Workday speed that's taking time? So you hit them with another follow up. And then you have the final, well, look no further. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. We've won this award, that award, that award. We have the opportunity to take on 1 to 2 new clients this year, and we would love to book a call. Give us a call, book a call, whatever. That call to action is really powerful. So I would definitely look into like finding the pain point as the video, and then you hit them with a few statics as well. And I would just say like Workday implementation made simple. We can talk about that, but that's kind of you don't need that many ads to start really like pinning down the right person. Because if you have that pain point, this is great, right? You have to think about you have like a target ICP. This is the entire US. Okay. Of the entire US, maybe only this many people even have any idea what Workday is. So, of that, let's just zoom that up. This is the same size now, assuming that's the case. Of that, only about this many people are actually relevant. And of that many people, only about this many people are going to be on Instagram and Facebook and be interested in buying your product. So you have like an incredibly small universe of people. Now your goal is to get these people to be interested, um, and then make the decision to actually, book the call, right? So how do we get these people interested? So you have to make super, super precise videos. Um, what I would also say is we don't know what's going to work. So if you have a hook, let's just say you have 10 hooks that are outlining. Whoops, let's make this bigger. You have 10 hooks with pain points. You have 5 angles. Like, are you dealing with a Workday implementation and it's not going well? Okay, that's a pain point. That's a broad pain point. You could also say, are you an HR executive dealing with a Workday implementation? That's a hook. That's a an industry specific or a company employee segment hook. Then you have an angle. Are you okay? Are you this kind of company? Are you doing this? Are you that? Okay. Are you? Did you know that over 25%? I'm just making this up. Did you know that over 25% of Workday implementations go over budget by $500,000 or more? If that sounds like you, and again, like this is the direct response, like nonsense of the world, but it works if you're this person. If you're this person, it works really, really well. If you're this person, it doesn't work well at all. Or maybe it sort of kind of works because maybe they know someone that knows someone, but it doesn't work that well. So you really want to hit this person, okay? You really want to target the specific ICP, and then you have the call to action. You can have 1, 2, let's just say it's 3 calls to action. Okay, so in this we have 10 times 5 times 2, that is 100. Oops. That is 100 total ads. Okay, and if you add plus statics, you can easily get to 150 to 200 ads. By literally all you're doing is you're filming 10 hooks, 5 angles, 2 calls to action, clumping them together, throwing 5 to 10 statics into ChatGPT, taking that stuff. We could talk about all that stuff, but you can very quickly get to 150 to 200 statics without doing any actual work, a heavy amount of work at least. So now you're very, very wide. Like you're really casting this net widely, and you're letting Meta decide on who your ads are and whatnot. Okay. So now the question is, so we have the idea. Now we want to figure out who are we going to target. We can have a whole separate. I'll probably do the next video maybe on targeting and how to target. But there's 2 schools of thought. The first is don't target at all. You just basically let Meta decide who you are, what you're looking for. If you're interested in, I don't know, like if you're interested in like really targeting the right person, you just let Meta decide that. The other is like target hyper specific. I kind of fall into the camp of a little bit of both. So I do think that you want to target. I don't like going super broad unless it's like I just have no idea who the customer is going to be. On the flip side, I don't like to target hyper specific. A lot of times I'll even run like 2 separate campaigns just to see which one works well, or 2 separate ad sets rather, just to see which one does better and just kind of warm each other up. So that's an interesting way to kind of like solve your actual like lowering of your acquisition cost. Again, I think a lot of people are like really, really trying to get it perfect on like week 1. That is not the way to run the business. The business is only going to succeed by getting, triple digit ROAS, okay, or double digit ROAS. right? We shouldn't worry too much about getting things precise when we're not even sure 100% about what makes sense or what doesn't. Okay. Then the next piece, so maybe I'll have a call to action for this later. Next is the landing page. This is a kind of an important one. So we can talk a lot about branding, your problem solution, if you want to go with VSL versus like a static landing page. I'm kind of a sucker for a VSL because if it's a high ticket product, you do kind of want to show your face. And then you have quiz funnel, and then you have a pixel warm up element to that. We can also talk about that, but basically, you want to just cut the legit people from the illegitimate people because you're going to get a lot of people, right? You're going to get a person who sees the ad, they're well targeted for whatever reason, they come to the landing page, and then they book a meeting with you, and they're bad fits. The meta algorithm doesn't know how good they are of a fit. All they know is this is a person who filled out a form. That means we did a great thing. Okay. They don't know unless you have like a conversions API. We can talk about that later. But at this stage, you're not going to have that. They also don't know if they bought. So there's 5 layers to this, right? There's they see the ad, they're targeted appropriately by the ad, or rather, okay, let's flip it out the other way. Right? They are targeted by the ad. They see the ad. They click the ad. They go through the landing page. They book a call. They actually show up to the call, and then they actually buy from you. Okay, those are a lot of steps, and there's a lot of drop off and loss at every single stage of that. So don't be concerned with getting more and more people to your landing page if the quality of the people aren't good. Um, this is where it gets into like I talk about a metrics check quite a lot with clients. So a lot of clients, every single client I talk to is like, oh, I want the best ROAS. Like, okay, but you don't want ROAS yet because you don't know the metrics that you need to get to the ROAS. So that's why I like to talk about like you have to think about meta as an optimizer of one number, and then it can move to the second number. So CPM is a good example. Ultimately we want to get a CPM that's, legitimate, makes sense, can scale, whatnot. Um, but you can run an awareness campaign and get crazy low CPMs. That doesn't mean that ultimately the pixel is going to like be improving over time. If you have a lower CPM, you can get a lot of garbage people in who are not going to buy. But you do want to maximize the CPM as best as you can. Then you want to make sure that the click through rate is pretty solid. So CPM, click through rate, time on site. I mean, we can do a number of different metrics for this, but ultimately, people who are booking that fall under the right quiz funnel. So quiz funnel is really simple. It's like asking a question of like, are you a good fit? Like, okay, oh, if it's a Workday implementation, one of the first questions would be, are you currently or in the future looking for Workday implementation? And it would say like currently, future. No, I'm not at all touching a Workday implementation. Okay, cut that person. Then it would say something like, tell us about your business. Okay. We're in this industry and we're this size. Okay. All of that is just a basic quiz. 3 to 5 questions max. Give us your email, give us your phone number, and then a call to action, which is a Calendly booking or something like that. Okay. Um, so as soon as they do that, then the question is kind of reaches here. Okay. This is usually where I would say get an appointment setter or some kind of person to follow up with them. It can be you. If you're doing a Workday implementation, you might not need that many people to like handle that call. Um, but even if you're spending $100 a day, that might be 1 or 2 people that you need to reach out to. And the critical thing with this is speed to lead and pre-qualifying. So this is where you can get 1 or 2 other questions out of them. I don't want to ever get too many questions out of them because I want them to come in fresh and understanding like, oh, okay, we're going to kind of mold ourselves to you. If you're a Workday implementation company, you don't want a cookie cutter solution. It's like you don't like if you're going to the store and you buy like apples, there's like 30 different apples, but ultimately you're looking for an apple. If you're a Workday implementation company, like you have so many different variables and fits and this and that, like who knows? Like, oh, okay, like I know Workday implementations, all they do is they work with I don't know, like finance companies or something like that. So this is really important. Speed to lead is also very important. If you're running ads outside of the hours of 9 to 5, which I would hope you are, um, you know, I would have like some kind of simple dialer that messages them, "Hey, we're outside of the office right now. We're going to give you a call 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you're not available, cool." Also, highly recommend um, texting, and with an iPhone, you're going to see 50% better rates with these. There's like companies that do this, but if you're in a sales role and you have hundreds of leads, then it makes sense to buy those. If you're not, just use your own phone. Just either have someone on your team be texting them, or you have to text them. It depends on how much you want to handle. And then the last thing is the meeting and actually making sure that you understand the problem and the solution. So, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Why'd you take this meeting? I would love to understand what are you looking for? Um, I really don't like the cookie cutter salespeople, but they do understand without being so direct. Like, tell me a little bit about what you're looking for in this meeting. Like, are you looking for this problem? Like, is this a problem that's really bad for you? Are you interested in kind of getting this solved today? Are you looking for this maybe next week, next month, next year? Like, just tell me a little bit about what you're looking for. Um, Decision makers. That's another piece that I haven't added in here. Um, are you the critical decision maker? Are there other people that are decision makers? Do I need to have a second call? Do you want to have a second call? Maybe we scope something out today a little bit, and then the next call we actually really scope it out. Do you want us to send you a follow up meeting? Do you want to send it up? Should I meet you in person? Like, there's so many decisions within this, but a really good closer is going to be able to solve a lot of this stuff and close, a third of the time, maybe a little bit more. It depends on the product and the solution. And then the last piece of this is going to be the sale. You'll notice I have checks on each of these, right? So I have the check here for the metrics. I have the check here. This is like an appointment setter, and then this is the closer. Um, Ideally, you're going to remove yourself from this as fast as you can, because I would hope that your time is not best spent attending these meetings. Like, this can take up a ton of time. The only way you're going to be able to scale this, hypothetical campaign is if you have, you know, two or three closers and you have two or three appointment setters and you're running, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in ads. All of the ads that we run, they start at $100 a day to start. I mean, we can spend more money definitely, but that's a good starting point to test out what's working. For high ticket, you're actually going to look at like the $100 CPMs, anyways. They can be a little bit higher, but you'll notice the CPM is around $100 here. Again, like if it's a really niche thing, maybe it might be a little bit better than that, or maybe a little bit worse. But that's kind of what we're looking for. Click through rate. Again, with Meta, it's, around that 1%. It can be a little bit better, but that's kind of what you expect. And then you can do a lot of the math from this cost per click calculus anyways, right? So if it's under $10 and you're spending $100 a day and you're converting, so this is really the critical thing, is the cost per lead, right? So how many people are coming to the landing page and converting to book a meeting, And then the real question is, are they good leads, right? Because we don't want them to be bad leads. And are they attending the meeting? That's another problem. That's another reason why the appointment setter is so critical. We have people reschedule constantly who then end up buying. It just takes them, weeks to actually book things. Maybe they're really busy. Maybe they're the executive at a Fortune 500 company. They don't have time. So this is kind of how you see, like, you have to really go granularly through each stage of the qualification. And then the last thing on this, um, if you're running $100 a day, your goal is to constantly 10x. So if you're doing $100 a day, you should be hoping to do $1,000 a day. If you're at $1,000 a day, you should be hoping to do $10,000 a day. High ticket, you're probably going to cap out at maybe 2,000 to $5,000 a day. There just isn't a huge market for some of these. Like, maybe there's 10,000 people a month searching for a Workday implementation. Maybe there's 2,000 people a month searching for HubSpot implementation. Your goal maybe isn't to just spend $10,000 a day, but you want to figure out where you're spending that money. Um, can you cap out at a certain point? Ultimately, if I 10x'd this ad spend and this number drastically started to drop, let's say it drops to 5x. At 5x, you probably are good. You don't need to keep going and going and going. That's when you're going to say, okay, we're going to move this. We're going to do $1,000 a day here. And then we're going to do the next 1K will be spent on Google, or it'll be spent on, I'm just making shit up here, TikTok. Um, you're trying to go where the puck isn't going. So maybe Google isn't the solution, but you might be able to retarget some folks. You can also go heavy, really, if you're trying to go heavy on just creating more content and just running like follower campaigns and like checklists and things like that. So you have like low ticket items. There's no scenario where like a HubSpot or a CRM implementation or um, Workday implementation, that could easily become a $10 million a year business without even trying. I mean, especially if you're talking, $5 million a year. So that's two sales for the year. Okay, so do you want to be like the company that continues to spend on direct call to action ads, or do you want, like, can you burn that cash? Or if you can't, do something else. Like, their meta is only one option. So, anyways, this is all going to be about go to market for the next, let's say, 6 months. And then we'll move it over to something other that's relevant in the consulting space that we work on. So, anyways, thank you. I will talk to everyone soon.